Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 23 of the Braindrizzle podcast. With me, as always, is Jack, and this week we have a guest, John, better known as the Gentleman Physicist. How are you doing, John?
Great. Nice to be here.
Awesome. Now, I'm sure many of our fans have probably heard of you, but in case they haven't, why don't you give us a little rundown of what your channel's about?
Well, I try doing entertaining physics videos, sometimes experiments, sometimes explaining something that might have been in the media recently that isn't all that obvious to understand.
I see. Now, recently, you won Thunderfoot's contest, and you did a little experiment with him involving the size of the Earth. I know you don't want to spoil anything for your upcoming videos, but would you mind giving our audience a little bit of that setup?
For the size of the Earth or for the competition?
Well, both. You pick.
Okay, well, the competition, it was a bit of a surprise that I won that. I mean, I'd been hoping to start making videos, and Thunderfoot started advertising that contest, and I said, gives me a topic to do a couple of videos on. The size of the Earth bit, well, I think I came up with the idea for that a while ago, and since historically the measurement took place on the summer solstice, I thought that'd be a great time to run the experiment, and it worked out pretty well. There was a pretty good turnout. Something like 70 people sent in data, and almost all of it was at least usable. Some of it more than others, but it worked out pretty well, and we got a pretty good measurement. So
That's cool. That's cool. Now, we're going to be linking your channel, but we should definitely link sort of your winning video, The Birth of Magic. Before we get into sort of your inspiration as a whole, I wouldn't mind knowing sort of what inspired you to make a video like that.
Well, I mean, there's several things on YouTube that interest me. I mean, there's the science stuff, and I am subscribed to a lot of the atheism-friendly channels. But when I started my channel, I thought I'd focus mostly on the science, and the actual topic for the contest was why science is awesome. So back when I was a kid, I mean, that's how I got into science. Is I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't be a wizard. So what's the next best thing? And turned out science.
Yeah, funny story. When I found out dragons weren't real, I thought, okay, I'll go into biotechnology and just make a dragon. You know. There you go.
That could land you in prison. I don't know what the laws on genetic experimentation are.
I'm sure it'll be fine. By the way, who's gonna mess with me if I have a dragon?
I certainly wouldn't.
Exactly. So it's really a foolproof plan.
Yeah, if you can get there.
Exactly. Well, you know, technicalities.
Kind of reminds me of Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, trying to make a griffin with condor eggs and lion semen.
Yeah, that was a good one. Although, really, I think you would need, like, somatic cells from each, not... Anyways. That's irrelevant. So, I mean, there are a lot of channels, science channels on YouTube. What initially inspired you? Was it Thunderfoot or just sort of the science community online in general?
Actually, I know exactly what inspired me to make them, and it was actually Miles Power's video where he ate a chili pepper, and then while he's suffering from the effects of the chili pepper, he explained why peppers are hot.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And I remember laughing my ass off for the entire video and thinking, and I still remember all the facts about why chili peppers are hot despite the fact they're a fruit. And I mean, that video came up years ago. And I don't know if you saw my first video that I put up, but we set up this massive rope swing off a railway trestle. And before setting it up, I found myself going over the calculations in my head to say, okay, these are the G-forces I'm going to feel. This is how fast I'll get going. And I used that data to just comfort myself about jumping off this thing. And then while I was doing that, I was like, hey, I can make a video for this, and it'll be awesome. So
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I did see that. So if you don't mind me asking, what are you studying outside of YouTube? Like, what do you actually hope to go into with science?
Well, outside of YouTube, I'm currently working on a PhD in theoretical physics. So I look at early universe cosmology, how the latest elements formed, and how hopefully dark matter could have impacted that in an observable way. So,
So pretty easy stuff, right?
oh yeah, very simple. Though I've taken this summer off so that I can code a physics-based video game, and that's going pretty well. But
Oh, tell me about that.
well, the idea is to take special relativity and use that as a mechanism for a video game, sort of like how Portal uses portals to complete levels. This you'd use things like time dilation, Lorentz contraction, and the red and blue shift of light to complete puzzles in game. It's a two-dimensional game.
That sounds awesome. Are you making that early on, or are you part of like a team?
So far, I'm on my own, but it's gotten to the point where I need to actually start tracking down artists for it. So, like people who can do 3D modeling and stuff, because that's a bit beyond my wheelhouse.
You know, I dabble in a little 3D modeling.
Really?
I'm no professional, but I could definitely get a copy of 3ds Max off the back of a truck somewhere and, you know, see if I can help out.
I'll definitely chat to you about that sometime in the near future.
And, hey, audience, if you know anything about 3D modeling and design, send a message to either me or John here, and we'll see if we can work something out.
Cool. Hopefully that'll help out.
Oh, yeah, by the way, do you have a name for the game?
It's Boost, a relatively simple adventure.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Could you repeat that? Yeah.
Boost, a relatively simple adventure.
Oh, clever.
Yeah.
Boost, you said?
Well, in special relativity, there's a term called boosting, so you can get a Lorentz boost in a direction, and so boost and a relatively simple adventure, just sort of because it's special relativity. It's a working title. We'll see if it actually.
It's a pun.
A little bit of one, yeah. And also, one of the main mechanisms in the game that you use to control your speed is you boost up to a faster and faster speeds and get closer and closer to the speed of light.
So a double entendre. Not a pun.
I suppose.
I'm a whole other kind of nerd, man.
Yeah, like I'm a science geek. She's like the literature nerd.
It's true.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So, what got you into physics, science, and then evidently making a video game on your own just for shits? Like, you know.
Oh, let's see. So, well, science in general, well, as I said, wanted to be a wizard. Physics, probably the thing that made me decide to go that route as opposed to the other areas of science was probably Brian Greene's The Elegant Universe. I remember reading that in high school and being really sort of, this is neat. I don't understand what the heck's going on, but it's neat. And I went from there, and then Cégep, which is sort of like the first couple years of college back in Quebec, I did natural sciences, and then I did an undergrad in physics and math. So, and how did I get to doing a video game? Let's just say I'm a little burnt out on my PhD, and I needed some time off. And this was a project I've been wanting to do for a while. So
That's cool. So have you coded before, or are you just doing this from scratch?
I had some coding background because you kind of need it. Almost any physics you do need to have some computer skills. So I'd coded in Fortran, I'd coded in MATLAB, a little bit of C, but I won't lie. Starting the video game, I've learned a lot about coding from it.
That's pretty awesome. So what made you to decide to do your PhD in early cosmology? Because I mean, physics is a really broad category, so you could really pick anything.
As strange as it sounds, it's in a way it's simpler. You've got to know quite a bit of tricky mathematics and stuff, but there's something very simple about the early universe. Like, there's no stars, there's no planets, you've got the fundamental nuclei all bouncing around, and each one of these is described by some reaction rates. And modeling them is actually doable. I mean, if I were to say try doing something in astronomy where you're modeling how a star works, that's a complicated process, but there's something simple about particle physics in my mind. It's hard to do, but there's a simplicity to it that's quite neat.
I see. Well, that kind of makes sense. We should connect you with our friends Ida and her professor. I think they do pretty similar work with dark matter and cosmology.
Oh.
Yeah, they even have high school students who help them write the scripts to make sure that everything that they say is easy to understand.
Oh, that's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah.
I've run into some of the earlier videos in particular that I did. I ran into some problems where it's like something that I just like, what do you mean that's not clear? It's clear as day, and I've run into some issues with that when I first started, and running it by some high school students is a good idea. What channel was that, did you say?
Oh, their channel is called The Cosmic Web.
Ah, I will have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say something, and then I completely lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
So, I've been sort of dominating. Jack, do you have any questions?
Yeah, actually, totally from left field. I haven't had a chance to watch very many of your videos, but I want to start with the absolutely craziest one. What is the craziest thing you have done in the name of science?
Definitely my first video. The editing is quite poor on that. It's the first time I'd ever experimented with video editing or narration or anything like that, so it's pretty poor, but it is definitely the most exciting of my videos, because it starts out with me sitting on the edge of this 300-foot high railway trestle with a rope going off into the distance, and I have to jump off that. And we all set this up ourselves, and even though we knew how to do rope safety and stuff, this is the first time we'd done this type of a jump. So it's I think you get a decent impression of how scary it is from just watching it. Some of the students in the tutorials I ran watched it, or were watching the entire video, sort of talking to themselves, saying, "Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump." So apparently that comes across quite well in the video.
Excellent.
That's
Excellent. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. That does sound amazing. Now, I like how you describe how you did the angles and experimented with the editing to get the dramatic effect in. Something I've noticed with a lot of science channels, or even some of the uppity atheist channels, they really undervalue what the video medium can give as far as new dimensions to communication.
I mean, it's a big learning curve. When I started this out, I was just like, okay, come on, this is going to be easy. Just turn a camera on in front of me and talk. And it's been a massive learning curve. I think a lot of scientists and a lot of physicists tend to sort of think, oh, well, I've done physics, everything else should be easy, and that's definitely not the case. It's been a pretty big learning curve, and something that also surprised me is how much gear you need to sort of get to make your channel look polished. Like a decent camera, decent audio equipment, decent lighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, studio lights, just basic ones, are like $60.
Yeah,
and
I get them used. That's where I got mine. I found them on sort of the Victoria Craigslist equivalent, and for I think I paid about $40 for a couple of really nice ones. So I lucked out on that.
I got 3 with stand and umbrella and the bulbs and everything for $60. Got those new. I don't use them very much. I got the lights. I don't have a camera. I just have a webcam that has the most annoying autofocus issue, that you can actually turn it off and do the manual settings, but it's incredibly limited for what I want to do, and I just need a better camera.
Yeah, the trick I used for the longest time was I went to my university library and signed out one of the cameras there, and that worked really well for the first 4 months or so of my channel.
Okay, I will get a student loan and enroll in university. That way I can borrow cameras.
You know, in the short term, it'd probably be cheaper than buying a good camera.
You're probably right.
Yeah, but I'd have to pay for that now, not 4 years from now.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, I mean, these are the solutions.
It's a hard knock life for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than, you know, getting the results of that world measuring experiment in, what ideas do you have for the future of your channel?
Well, I like doing the experiment ones, but those ones, I'm actually surprised at how many experiment videos I've done because I am a theorist, and it's more, I'd be having coffee with friends and we'd sort of be chatting, and something would occur to us that's like, oh, I wonder what would happen. Like in one of the videos, I was trying to figure out if if glass was still transparent when you heated it up and it was melting. And I mean, that actually came out of watching someone else's YouTube video. So those experimental videos sort of come whenever inspiration hits. But I do have a big long list of topics that I've seen in the media that I want to address, and hopefully I'll be able to get a couple of those videos up. Like a while back, there was quite a bit of a stir about scientists at NASA investigating warp drives, and I've been meaning to look into the physics behind that because most of the physicists I talk to are like, this just sounds like crack pottery. And
See, I know it does, but even if it's not as good as it sounds, please don't crush our dreams. Please?
Just give it to us gently, all right? Just like talking to that, do a blue background, talking a soothing voice, get some flute music going,
maybe a clip of the ocean rocking back and
yeah. Yeah, and make it up to us by really putting out a very, very kick-ass video, and just be like, "Hi, this is John, the Gentleman Physics, and this is Science Jackass."
Actually, the series that I have going for that is Crazy Physics Claims, and it's talk about something that sounds too good to be true, and is it true or isn't it? And I still don't know enough about the warp drive one to actually be able to comment on it because if it's getting funding, there must be something to it, ideally, so I'd like to see what that is. And
I really hope there is.
Yeah.
The something to it, though, might be a crazy rich guy, though. Or might be a rich guy who is easily persuaded by hope, the same way we are. I'd fund it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, shut up and take my money. You say you can build me a warp drive, do
Warp drive Kickstarter. Done.
Well, it's better than that Kickstarter. What was it? Detroit's to build a statue of RoboCop or something.
Yeah, but that worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Man.
There are better things to spend your money on.
Okay, so I'm saying the three of us need to look into the warp drive thing, steal all their research, and then just get a Kickstarter going. I think we could do it.
Yeah, man. If anything, that's the thing with, Kickstarter, the thing with, I'm guessing, like, just based on the fact that the entire world is a little bit messed up, and resources in general do not get evenly and fairly distributed, I'm guessing that probably the same thing happens with science.
Yeah, there's always going to be some funding wasted, and there's always going to be people who disagree with where the funding's being spent, so...
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying we would make millions if we're like, okay, not gonna say it's gonna work, but we're gonna try and make a warp drive. We would make all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, only spend half of it disproving ourselves and just live like kings.
That assumes you make your Kickstarter goal, but...
Are you shitting me? Like, every nerd in the world would be like, I can give $10, and then every rich nerd would be like, here, have $1 million.
Well, if you can make the Kickstarter video, I'll probably send you $5.
Awesome. So can we quote you because you're the only physicist we... We know 3 physicists. We know...
And one of them gave us $5 for this. We're legit, man.
You know, we're just gonna have like quotes from you, like, huh? Like, physicist.
Yeah, I'll look online and I'll see the Kickstarter. It's like, this project is endorsed by Jonathan. It's like, well, wait, what?
Just a big old shiny picture of you with the dentine gleam and stars behind you, and you're wearing a cape, and you're just like, hee.
Considering the number of people on my channel who think I look like a zombie, probably not the poster boy you want for this project.
No, you're exactly the poster boy we want for this project.
Well, we're gonna get most of our money from pasty nerds anyways, so...
Yeah, they'll look up to you as one of their own. There'll be a single tear going down their eye while they click the button. Yeah, man. Rock on. Keep fighting the fight.
There is one other project, actually, that I have been working on for a while for doing some videos, which is trying to build a Tesla coil and doing some experiments with that, but we'll see how long no one takes to get running, because...
Yeah, and how much experiments you actually do and how much time you spend playing, like, video game music on it.
That sounds like a lot more work. I just want to get something that can shoot pretty lightning, and I'm going to be happy, but...
Well, then you're basically a wizard. Like, you could do the Palpatine fingers, like...
There is some stuff you can do with a Tesla coil where you conduct the electricity through your body and shoot lightning out of your fingers, but I'm not going to do that. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Oh, hell, I mean... Actually,
but,
you
dude,
know what? We should bring this up.
What is your channel about if you're not gonna do something dangerous like that? Come
Although,
on.
to be fair, John, you have shot a laser through spinning molten glass.
Yeah, and there's doing stuff that's dangerous under the right conditions, and there's doing stuff that's dangerous that's just insane.
That's just too awesome.
I would say insane. It's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes for safety precautions for these videos. That it's whenever we're dealing with something dangerous, I try and put a very clear disclaimer to say, you know, don't do this at home. This is...
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to think people have the common sense not to jump off a bridge, but then again, I didn't, so...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why the Darwin Awards exist.
Yeah, and hopefully I won't end up on those, but...
Okay, but we should bring this up, not to reveal any locations, but John and I are actually only about 2 hours apart IRL.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. I when we first made contact for the podcast, you're like, oh, you're there. I rock climbed there.
Well, no, I don't. He does, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what we should do. We should see if we can power my wheelchair with a Tesla coil.
I think we'd end up with 2 cooked nerds. I think we'd probably just... you can get some power transmission with those, like wireless power transmission, but I think the dangers far outweigh any of the cool factor.
Aww.
Just how about just really, really small Tesla coils for bling purposes?
There's actually some videos online you can see for building those. They're about the size of a water glass, and they're built using you know those fly swatters that look like a tennis racket that electrocute them.
Yeah.
You take out the transformer from that and build yourself a mini Tesla coil, and it can shoot sparks at a couple of centimeters.
Can it also be used to kill insects?
Maybe you could coat it in honey, but...
Well, obviously.
Yeah, that'd actually be kind of cool, but... That's one project that I would like to do sometime, is try and build one of these things. Not even for a video, since the video's already out there, but... You know, build a tiny Tesla coil, have it on my desk.
I mean, I would want that on all furnishing in my house. Just like a Tesla coil everywhere.
I would have the best steam sauna if I could incorporate those into my wardrobe.
That's true. I guess those things are quite popular with the steampunk subculture.
Which is weird, because it's not steampunky at all, but it still works.
Tesla!
Yeah,
Tesla
just
is
fucking
all that
insane.
is.
I don't know. I mean,
Tesla invented steampunk.
a lot of those comics, like Girl Genius, I think there are Tesla coils all over the place in that
Yeah.
comic, and I'm pretty sure that's sort of, if it's in Girl Genius, then it's probably considered steampunk.
I'm not complaining. It does seem a little out of place compared to the rest of the tech that's usually in steampunk. But I mean, it's awesome.
Mm.
So
What about Ray Gun Gothic? I mean, it fit perfectly with that. And everybody just goes, what?
yeah,
Google it, guys. You have computers.
hopefully.
I was talking to the audience. I know you dudes don't care.
Yeah, we really don't. But anyway, so any plans to make a death ray?
For legal purposes, I'll say no.
Okay. So, John, you're not gonna get together soon in person and talk, yeah?
Yeah, sure. Next time I'm up in your neck of the woods, I'll try and stop by.
And definitely not talk about a death ray?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Or hybrid animals of any kind.
Well, obviously it would be ridiculous to mount the death ray on the dragon.
Again, this sounds like it's going from dangerous to insanely dangerous. But also, why does a dragon?
Just wear a helmet. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Why does a dragon need a death ray? It can breathe fire. It's
Yeah, but when you think about the biochemical logistics of having something actually breathe fire, the death ray just makes sense.
oh, I mean, aren't there all those beetles that can shoot sort of?
I was thinking of those
Acid?
beetles, but it's not really fire, and even so, it's not going to have the range of a death ray.
Okay, good point.
But besides, you're going to have a saddle on the back of that thing anyways, so you might as well have a death ray.
I guess the accessories make this supervillain.
Exactly. See, he gets it.
Yeah.
And really, what's the point of being a scientist if you're not eventually going to become a supervillain?
But most mad scientists seem more like mad engineers. Oh, well, that was in some webcomic a while back.
Yeah, but like that doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
Mad engineer. I mean, I'm just thinking somebody who shows up to work wearing 2 pocket protectors, constantly muttering to
Or
himself while he has
or
8 pens behind his ears.
Or like someone disgruntled operating a train.
Ugh.
Just sitting there at a drafting table, like, and, you know, basically purposely designing intersections and highway systems to be as irritating as possible.
Okay.
I'll make everybody in the city have to stop and think about what they've done in traffic.
That's actually quite a neat math problem, is how they try and optimize those grids, because it's not an easy computational thing to do. It's might make a video on that sometime, because it's surprisingly complicated, sort of trying to optimize all this stuff. But
that would be a pretty lame theme for a supervillain.
yeah.
Professor Traffic Engineer.
And I'm sorry, but the only way that talking about civil engineering would be easy to people, would be interesting to people, is if you actually got aerial shots of the different highway systems you're talking about while riding on the back of a dragon
With a death ray.
with a death ray.
Or you
be like,
or
this
you
is clearly
sim-
crap, and destroy the road.
You could probably come at it with a good angle, something like street racing or something. Find something exciting in there.
Maybe like use Grand Theft Auto or something to map the... I don't know.
Actually, street racing can be excruciatingly boring to talk about. Unless you're really into the cars, street racing
Do you
is
know
something
from
to
experience
do.
from many street racing conversations, Jack?
Yes, I do, actually. I've never street raced, but I've been with friends and just, like, sat in the passenger side while they did.
That sounds like a story.
Yeah, basically walking up to, like, where they're hanging out in, like, the friggin' Taco Bell parking lots because, you know, Taco Bell, they have the Mountain Dew and are totally extreme! And listening to them talk, cars and booze. The car talk is good. However, talking about this race or that race, the stories are quite often tedious.
So,
Yeah.
so now you know for when you make your civil engineering video, John.
if I make a civil engineering
Yeah.
video. I've got a fairly long list of videos I want to get to first. So.
I had a quick question about going back to the molten glass thing. Had anyone ever tried that before that you found, or?
No, I haven't found one. Usually, what I try doing with my videos is if I know that there's a video out there, I probably won't do it. Like we've got so much stuff on YouTube that it's kind of fun challenge to think up problems that people haven't worked out.
But I mean, have you looked into if there's even a paper on that? Because if there's not, you should totally write that.
No, I'm sure there is, because it's something you would need to know. Like, the optical properties of glass are quite well understood. And when I was doing information, when I first asked myself the question, would this still be transparent? I could have swung either way, but as I read up on some of the properties of glass, I was like, okay, it's almost definitely going to stay transparent. And
okay.
So it's usually my rule of thumb for videos is if there's already a cool YouTube video talking about this, then skip it, or at least try and find an angle on it that someone hasn't approached, like with the Foucault pendulum one, where we built a Foucault pendulum and figured out what our latitude was. There's a lot of videos out there just with videos of Foucault pendulums and people who set them up, and it's like, look, here's a Foucault pendulum. But one of the things I like doing is, well, what can we use it for? Is there a tie-in with, this is where physics actually intersects with our lives? And it's like, okay, use the Foucault pendulum, figure out our latitude, and go from there.
Yeah.
I'd use a Foucault pendulum, and it would explode in my hands. Physics hates me.
That would be an impressive feat, considering all it is string and lead. But if you could get a video of that, that would be impressive. I would like that video.
And you know what? Lots of videos of Tesla coils, not a one of remotely powering a wheelchair with one. I'm just saying.
Yeah, most of the videos when I was doing research for that were using Tesla coils, and you hold an incandescent bulb near it, and a fluorescent bulb near it, and it lights up a little bit. And usually nothing much more exciting than that. But
yeah, so.
Ooh, look at the light bulb is lighting up. Really, I've never seen that before.
Well, it's actually, there's a lot of people online who work on Tesla coils who are trying to use it to make free energy systems. So it's kind of an interesting community to get exposed to.
Okay.
Wait,
awesome.
Are there DIY Teslas?
Oh, there's hundreds and hundreds of them. Most of the community online are do-it-yourself Tesla coil makers. There's not really much use for them in actual science anymore. They're very outdated, and the only reason you would need them is if you're teaching an intro physics class, and it's like, you want to wake the students up, so you produce a spark that's 2 feet long and zap something. It's so most of the people who make them, or at least that I've found online, they're all people who, electrical engineers or just sort of talented amateurs that assemble them, because they're big projects, but they're attainable projects.
Yep, especially if you have a DJ who does sweet raves and you need rent.
Yeah, they are dangerous though. You're dealing with quite high voltages to get those big sparks. And
okay, outdoor rave then.
There's also all those really awesome videos of people in chainmail suits playing guitar or dancing in the shooting lightning and stuff. So
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite use of a piece of science demo equipment I've seen.
Well, if you need some chainmail, I know a guy.
I wouldn't be a proper nerd if I didn't know a few people who made chainmail, but thank you for the offer. It's
excellent. All right, you get to be in my club.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything, unless there's any other questions for each other. That was a sentence.
I don't know. You could ask us a question. Nobody does that.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I think I'm good. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay, so definitely no discussions of Death Rays or Dragons. That's off the table. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep, and I will not lay awake scared that the day will finally come when Canada takes its revenge.
Revenge for what? We won the War of 1812.
That's true.
Or I guess technically the British did, but
Well, I mean, you know, potato, tomato.
Getting
and that's the extent of my history knowledge. I'm pretty limited on that front.
So am
I
I.
remember I learned about that war from a song done by Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie.
I learned about it from a Canadian History TV minute, so.
Yeah, those were always
Which is-
weird. Like, remember when we kicked America's ass? Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah, I think a lot of Canadians' history knowledge comes from these little sponsored minutes they put on the air of, look, this is how Canada got its name, or this is how Canada got its flag, or look, we won the War of 1812.
Is that really how Canada got its name? Because that was really lame.
Well, what was that one? I think they.
Because they're basically like Kanata or some similar word in the Aboriginal language was like the word for land or forest or something.
Or village or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why would the Canadian History TV minutes lie?
Well, I don't know.
The name of the city that I live in is Indian word for a good place to dig for potatoes.
That's kind of hilarious.
That's a fact.
Is it?
It is.
So you've dug for potatoes?
Well, there's a lot of crabgrass. They're not talking like potatoes, Indian potatoes, which are actually like little bulbs. I think that the onion grass you get flowers and you can actually dig it up, and it's actually an edible plant, and we have it all over the place. So I think those are the Indian potatoes. I don't know though, because I didn't read that far when I was doing the school project that learned me that fact.
Learned you that fact?
I'm seriously, that's like the only thing that I could think of. If my backyard is a good place to dig for potatoes, it would be the crabgrass.
Okay, with that fun fact, I think we'll close the podcast. Again, if you're listening to us on YouTube, check the video description. Otherwise, go to youtube.com/thegentlemanphysicist. By the way, how annoying is it that you didn't fit physicist?
I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if the name was too long or if I just didn't notice the mistake, and then when I started making videos a couple of years after I had that, I just didn't notice the mistake. But yes, I'm reminded of it every time someone calls me the gentleman physicist.
Well, okay, go to that link if you are listening to us on iTunes, and otherwise, thank you for listening. Okay, well,
Thanks for having me.